You know, there were lots of things that happened on American television that I only learned about in books. No horror hosts. When was I first aware of them? Possibly the age of about 10 or 11, picking up a copy of Zacherley's Vulture Stew in paperback. And it just had a thing on the back cover about who Zacherley was.
Roland, or Roland, accent on the second syllable, please. Roland became, of course, Zacherley, and that's if there was a king of horror hosts, my hat would go to Zacherley. Absolutely, bottom line, without question, the king of all horror hosts.
We've all seen the ghoul named Roland, but of my dear, only her hand. Could it be he has fear because Igor is near, that he won't show the rest of my dear?
I had been on a cowboy show. I played an undertaker one time on that. And after that show was over, the Shock Theater thing came out from California with all the movies. They remembered that, and so I got the job of doing these horror movies, which I'd never seen in my life. Yeah, as they say.
In the 50s and 60s, Zacherley was it. I later learned that he had started out in Philadelphia, but I had no knowledge of that. I knew him from his long tenure in New York.
And on other occasions, you'd be able to pick up signal out of Philly, where I first heard of a guy named Zacherley, the cool ghoul, who was in the Northeast. He was pretty much the guy.
He came on around 11 o'clock at night, which was very, very late, and he terrified me, but I was so intrigued and fascinated by him that we would beg to, oh, please let us stay up. And I don't know, you're gonna have nightmares. Oh, we don't care, let us stay.
It was just a little bit too much for the old days.
He did give me a lot of fun, Zacherley, because he was the guy that I would watch that you probably weren't supposed to be watching. He's the guy we would go into school the next day and talk about.
One day I was attending a Cub Scout meeting, and many of the other boys were terribly excited about something they had seen on television. There was this buzz in the air over Roland, Shock Theater, the most amazing experiences they had ever had with a black and white television set.
Looked like a bad Undertaker, just over the top, you know, but happily over the top with everything. The bad set that's supposed to look like a crypt somewhere, coming out of the coffin, I think, as I remember it, in the opening of most episodes. You know, the crypt keeper, but an actual life person.
The setting was supposed to be some sort of a dungeon where we supposed he lived, and there was kind of a laboratory table and an old laundry bin where his wife either departed or undead. It was never quite clear, but he referred to her as my dear and would always cast glances down toward that laundry cart.
My dear wife who lived in a box, and you never saw her because we couldn't afford to have somebody else on the show.
Yeah? How was that last little sample, my dear?
We had a record of monkeys chattering, and we either slowed it up or speeded it up. I forget just which was. And she made a noise like, and I would answer her back the same way.
Don't talk to me in that tone of voice, you.
And then he had a pet amoeba, and the amoeba was, you know, some gelatinous form of something.
What I always remember, it's haunted me for a long time, was he had that jello with it looked like coconut all over the outside, and it just scared me unbelievably when I was a kid.
Just before we were going to use it, I said, "Oh, let's just dump it upside down, you know, and I'll tell them it's a big amoeba." And they had a real close-up of this thing, so I dumped it out, and it's there shivering, you know, and I poke it, and it's going like this, and then it split open. God, it looked the ugliest thing you ever saw. Its own weight, it split of its own weight, and like a big ugly mouth. And we thought that was hilarious, you know.